Good morning and welcome to the Gallery Newspaper Review. This morning, I am Titilayo Olamide. And starting with this morning is the Daily Sun newspaper. And on the major news headline, I have Yoruba APC leaders reject Oduduwa Biafra options, back open grazing ban, state beliefs through federalism. Count me out of Yoruba nation agitation, says Akeredolu. You can find the story on page 7 and page 8 respectively from the Daily Sun newspaper. And then still on open grazing ban, said Northern youth split over Malami stand. Northern youth split over Malami stand. Certain governors' rights on ban, says Northern Youth Forum. We are behind AGF. We are behind AGF. This is coming from Arewa Youth Assembly. You can read the story on page 6 of the Daily Sun newspaper. Ataru, others died to keep Nigeria safe. This is coming from the CAN. Said Ataru, others died to keep Nigerians safe. And that is from CAN. And you can read the story on page 27. Coming to, said we must negotiate Nigerians' unity. We must negotiate Nigerians' unity. That's Cardinal Oyenekun. That is, he said, when nation is in disarray, this is coming from Okowa, another civil war must be avoided. That is coming from Reverend Pam. Another civil war must be avoided. That is coming from Reverend Pam. And then even youth urge IGP to arrest Miyetti Allah's leader. Igbo youth urge IGP to arrest Miyetti Allah's leader. You can read all the stories on page 7 and 26 of the Daily Sun newspaper. And the next to it is, again, 8 men killed 5 in Taraba. 8 men killed 5 in Taraba. 2 shot dead as police repel attack on another Ebonyi police station. And this story is on page 4 of the Daily Sun newspaper. And the next bit is NDLEA intercepts 8 billion naira cocaine, arrest drug kingpin in Lagos airport. You can also find the story on page 4 of the Daily Sun newspaper. And the next bit is, I have Imo Governor Okorosha didn't give us 500 million naira. Imo Governor Okorosha didn't give us 500 million naira. And that is coming from IPOB. And you can read the story on page 26. And then lastly, said Nigeria records its 0.5% GDP growth in first quarter of 2021. Nigeria records its 0.5% GDP growth in first quarter of 2021. Not yet time for celebration, LCCI. Not yet time for celebration. That is coming from LCCI. And then NECA and others. You can all read the story on page 26 of the Daily Sun newspaper. And that leads us to the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And on the major news headline, I have the state of the nation. It says no to secession, Southwest governors, APC leaders declare. No to secession, Southwest governors, APC leaders declared. Said Tinubu, Oshoba, Akonde, Gbajabiamila led others to talk. Southwest APC leaders oppose separatists, ask agitators to desist, call for devolution of powers to states, back Southern governors, Asaba declaration. And these stories can be found on page 10 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And then I have on Lagos State local government poll. It said, I have no preferred candidates, and that is coming from Tinubu. It says, I have no preferred candidates. And then next to it is Unimaduguri gets 1 billion naira grant from ASR Africa. Unimaduguri gets 1 billion naira grant from ASR Africa, and that is on page 14. And then I have still on page 10, said Rep Monarch order petition Buhari over insecurity in Oyo State. Rep Monarch ordered petition Buhari over insecurity in Oyo State. You can read the story on page 10 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And then next to it is Amechi order arrest of vandals buyers of stolen rail equipment. Amaechi orders arrest of vandals, buyers of stolen rail equipment. The story is on page 9. And the next rate is power generation falls by 6.72% in 7 days. Power generation falls by 6.7% in 7 days. And that story is on page 51 of the Vanguard newspaper. Then next to it is economy sustains recovery with 0.51% GDP growth in first quarter of 2021. Economy sustains recovery with 0.51% GDP growth in first quarter of 2021. Analyst feeds as MPC considers inflation GDP data. And that story is on the Vanguard newspaper. And still on the Vanguard newspaper, that is on insurgency in Nigeria. It says Atairu would have made Nigeria proud. Atairu would have made Nigeria proud. And that is coming from Burata. It says Atairu would have made Nigeria proud. That is due to the death of the late chief of Army Staff. And then I have on Imo attack open grazing ban. Uzodimma fumes as Delta Monash bans Southern governors. You can read the story on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. Lastly, said treat military plane crashes as national emergency. Treat military plane crashes as national emergency. And that is Count talking to President Buhari there. And you can read the story on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And that takes us to Nigerian Tribune. And on the major news headline, it says Tinubu, Gbajabiamila, APC Southwest leaders, governors oppose secession. Tinubu, Gbajabiamila, APC Southwest leaders oppose secessions. And then backed Southern governors on open grazing wants true federalism. And you can read the story on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. And still an Oyo local government poll said PDP clears 32 local governments. PDP clears 32 local governments and inauguration holds today. You can read the story on page 23. And then going to page 20, it said stocks, bonds, Naira heads south. Stocks, bonds, Naira heads south. That is on page 20. And then on page 29, federal government may have lost $50 million to delayed pilotage tender process. Federal government may have lost $50 million to delay pilotage tender process, and that is on page 29. And then Adebanjo says secession not solution. Secession not the solution, but 1999 constitution is the problem. 1999 constitution is the problem. That is coming from Adebanjo, and you can read that on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. And then said NDLEA intercepts 8 billion naira worth of cocaine. NDLEA intercepts 8 billion naira worth of cocaine, arrest culprits at Lagos airport. And then says $422,500 offered as bribe to compromise investigation. Said $24,500 was offered as bribe to compromise the investigation. This was seized also. And then 72 injured in Kano petrol tanker explosion. 72 injured in Kano petrol tanker explosion. You can read the stories on page 26. And still on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, it says rep members from Oyo petitions presidency. Reps member from Oyo petitions presidencies demand compensation for kidnapped victims in Ibarapa. And you can read the story on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. And the next tweet is Buhari calls wife of late chief of army staff. Nation will never forget supreme sacrifice of Atairu orders, he says. Nation will never forget the supreme sacrifice of Atairu orders, he says. National flag to fly at half-mast. National flag to fly at half-mast. You can read the story on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. And the next to it is treat military plane crashes as national emergency. Councils Buhari. Treat military plane crashes as national emergency. Councils Buhari. And that is also on page 2 of the Nigeria Tribune newspaper this morning. And the last, he said, let's sit down and talk. Let's sit down and talk. Miyetti Allah tells Sultan Kaduna Union. Let's sit down and talk. And that is Miyetti Allah telling Sultan Kaduna Union. And the story is on page 25 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. And that leads us to the Nation newspaper. And the major news headline said Southwest APC leaders reject secession agitation. Southwest APC leaders reject secession agitation. Tinubu, Akande, Akinrinade, Gbajabiamila, Oshoba, governors okay ban on open grazing. And that is on the Nation newspaper this morning. And then upward it says APC PDP clash over Oyo Council polls outcome. APC PDP clash over Oyo Council polls outcome. Next to it is President gives soldiers day off. President gives soldiers day off. Buhari phones General Atairu's widow. Buhari phones General Atairu's widow. You can read the story on page 7 of the Nation's newspaper. Said NDLEA intercepts 8 billion naira cocaine at Lagos airport. NDLEA intercepts 8 billion naira cocaine at Lagos airport. That is on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. And on COVID-19 reports, 19 travelers from India, Brazil, Turkey wanted. 90 travelers from India, Brazil, Turkey wanted, and that story is on page 3 of the Nation newspaper. The next tweet is why MPC may rise interest rates. Why MPC may rise interest rates. Business on Monday. That is on Business on Monday pages. That is on page 17 to 30 to 24. For page 17 to 24, you can read that story of why MPC may rise interest rates on the Nation newspaper. And then lastly, GDP rose by 0.51% in first quarter. GDP rose by 0.51% in first quarter, and that is on page 5 of the Nation newspaper this morning. And that takes us to Daily Trust newspaper. On the major news outline, it said 4 policemen, 44 others killed in gunmen attack. 4 policemen, 44 others killed in gunmen attack. Police stations attacked in Ebonyi, Zamfara. Police stations attacked in Ebonyi, Zamfara. 3 kidnappers lynched in Adamawa. 3 kidnappers lynched in Adamawa. 5 elders killed. 59 cattle shot in Plateau. 5 elders killed. 59 cattle shot in Plateau. And then Sokoto villagers fled to Niger Republic. Sokoto villagers fled to Niger Republic. And then next to it is intense lobby as Buhari shops for new army chief. Intense lobby as Buhari shops for new army chief. And then still on the Daily Trust newspaper, it said Northern elders kick as Ondo introduces Odua anthem in schools. Northern elders kick as Ondo introduces Odua anthem in schools. And still on Daily Trust newspaper, it says 64 injured in Kano tanker explosion. 64 injured in Kano tanker explosion. And then Buhari orders flag to fly at full mast to honor Atairu 10 others. Buhari orders flag to fly at half mast to honor Atairu 10 others. And then Tinubu governors orders Southwest leaders reject secession. Tinubu governors orders Southwest leaders reject secession. And that story is on page 38 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Only 60,000 pilgrims will perform 2021 Hajj. That is coming from Saudi Arabia. So it's only 60,000 pilgrims will perform 2021 Hajj. And that takes us to the New Telegraph newspaper this morning. And on the major news headline, it said Akeredolu Fayemi absent as Southwest APC leaders demand true federalism. Akeredolu Fayemi absent as Southwest APC leaders demand true federalism. Back Southern governors on open grazing ban. Tinubu, Akande, Oshoba, Gbajabiamila, Sanwo-Olu. Others oppose separatist agitations. A speech. You can read the stories on page 3 of the New Telegraph newspaper this morning. And then next week is anxiety over appointment of new chief of army staff. Anxiety over appointment of new chief of army staff. Consultations delaying announcement. Consultation delaying announcement. Presidency zeroed search on 15th arms GOCs. Presidency zeroed search on 15th arms GOCs. And the presidential aide cites insecurity for Buhari's absence at Atahiru's burial. Presidential aide cites insecurity for Buhari's absence at Atahiru's burial. You can read the stories on page 4 of the New Telegraph newspaper. And the next tweet is taking more steps daily increases longevity. Taking more steps daily increases longevity, and that is on page 8 of the New Telegraph newspaper. And then on COVID-19 reports, banks issues new conditions of service to staff. Banks issue new conditions of service to staff. Step up cost-cutting measures. Step up cost-cutting measures, and that is on page 5 of the New Telegraph newspaper. And then NDLEA intercepts $1 billion cocaine at Lagos airport. Now drug kingpin. That is on page 4 of the New Telegraph newspaper. Kaigama blasts Nigerians over lies. Use of abusive language, says truth crucial to the nation's survival process. And you can also read that on page 4. And then this is coming from Cross River. Said landlord gives PDP set quit notice after APC's takeover. Landlord gives PDP September quit notice after APC's takeover. And that is on page 3 of the New Telegraph newspaper. And then lastly, said police kill scores of bandits in Zamfara. Police kill scores of bandits in Zamfara as government attack INEC headquarters, police station in Adamawa, and that is on page 26. And with this, we move to Business Day's newspaper. Said Nigeria's largest FMCG's profits far from pre-pandemic levels. Nigeria's largest FMCG's profits far from pre-pandemic levels despite recovery signs. And the next tweet is tax for debt. Companies borrowing to remain robust in 2021. Companies borrowing to remain robust in 2021. That is on page 31. And then inside the newspaper, it said FMDQ Exchange welcomes gross cement 115 billion naira bond, largest in Nigerian debt market, and that is on page 8. See special reports on Akwa Ibom State. The special reports on Akwa Ibom State, that is on page 18 and 19, respectively, of the Business Day newspaper this morning. And with this, we've come to the end of today's newspaper review. Don't forget to join us by 12 p.m. for more news updates. I am Titilayo Olamide. Thanks for watching and do have a lovely day.